So, hello Dave, how are you? And thank you for coming to InvoTalks.
Hello, Zofti. Thank you for the invitation. I'm great. And how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. So, Dave, please tell us about yourself and what Artifactory.ai does. And then I will take my conversation from there.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, I am the founder and CEO of Artifactory.ai. We are building an AI art engine for games. And before that, I was a machine learning engineer and later a chief product officer at the same company called Ghost Data Lab. And as the most significant achievement, I would like to mention that we launched the voice assistant for gamers with 1 million monthly active users, and the startup raised 5 million. And it was successfully acquired in 2021. So now I can work on my own startup. And what we do, we help artists and help game developers to create assets for their games to speed up their development process. And right now we are focusing on we focused on 2D art, but later we plan to expand on 3D and video.
Oh, great. Amazing, amazing. Please do move to 3D as well. So I'm just curious that the company's name Artifactory.ai has AI in the end of its name. That is making me very curious because of this, AI hyped and all, and the environment that we are living in. So I mean, what's the purpose? What makes you think to add .ai in the end of its name? Is it some kind of
Yeah.
yeah, please continue.
Sure. So we use neural networks to generate images from text, and we fine-tune these models for the style of, let's say, your game. And that's why we are AI-powered company. And this technology is in our DNA under the hood. And but maybe I can share a little demo with you if you want, or I can just explain it more.
Yeah, please just
I mean,
explain for our audience and please try to be very simple.
yeah. So usually, for example, you are a game developer and you want to create a character or a new skin for your character, because many of games, they are free to play, and studios monetize them with these in-game sales, in-game content. So you need to create some concepts of these characters. Concepts are usually 2D images where we have these, let's say, costume, this skin of a character from front side view, from back side view, and we allow you to create such images just in second. I mean, you can just describe in text. For example, I need a policeman, and voila, in a second you have a concept of character for your game, or somebody else, like a guy, a football or a soccer player. um, and the greatest part is that we fine-tune this technology for exactly your game style, because with the classical image generation models, it's sometimes really hard to get the style consistent results. And we help game developers with this last mile.
Okay, amazing. So as a developer, I need to write a description of the character or the model that I want, and then it will just give me a model as per my requirements, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and not only characters, but let's say icons. When you
Wow.
have interface and you need to create icons of your abilities for these characters, or you need to create a background for maybe your ads, or just a background for the loading screen. You can do all this stuff with Artifactory.ai.
So you're a mechanical engineer, you mentioned, and then you jumped into gaming industry, and then you created a platform where, by using AI, one can generate or create a character icon. What made you, develop such platform?
Yeah, thank you for this question. Well, yeah, originally I'm a machine learning engineer, so I'm a guy from this AI industry, and or data scientist. It's another, let's say, name of this profession. But also, I really like games. I play games a lot. I have 5,000 hours in Dota 2. I have 3,000 hours in CSGO, and yeah, tons of hours in different games. So I really like I really like games, and most of my previous experience was with game development companies, or at least in somewhere in the gaming industry. So yeah, right now I'm building a company of my dream, because I just think about games and AI.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So I've heard this on Twitter and one of my social media posts as well, that if you are interested in game or a game, then you can only create an interesting game. So do you think, is it so? If you are a
If
gamer,
you are interested in,
yeah, if you are
well,
a gamer, then you can only create interested games. And if you are not interested in games, then you can't create a very, um, well organized game, maybe, or maybe well interested and well defined.
yeah, I see. Well, I agree that to create games, you need to play games and you need to understand the gamers. You need to understand your audience. Definitely, definitely. Um, but there is a problem that even if you are a gamer, sometimes your games may fail. And yeah, this is the part of reality, the part of
Yeah,
this market.
but I think that's how you learn.
Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, but I think that's how you learn from, from your mistakes, from your failures.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's true. I completely
Okay.
agree.
Okay, so jumping again to our topic. So in March, RPG publisher Paizo, creator of Pathfinder and Starfinder, took a hardline stance against AI generated work, and with social media posts and the company's blog committing to the human work of human professionals, or human based work rather than AI based work, and a promising contractual ban on AI generated text and all. And some big companies, on the other hand, like Unity, Epic Games, Roblox, have all announced generative AI integrations in their development kits. So, why do you think that the game development industry as a whole still has its this resistance?
Yeah. Well, about a few words about the gaming industry. I would say it's pretty conservative, because game development is a high risk, because you can spend years on your game and still many games fail. So teams optimize their resources, their processes as much as possible, and they don't spend time on experiments. I mean, on technical experiments, and sometimes they need years to introduce some technologies, and On the other hand, with generative AI, first of all, sometimes it's hard to control this technology, and it's hard to get production-ready assets. You need to understand how to work with these neural nets, how to prompt them. And one more thing that I would say artists are a bit scared about generative AI because, well, it's similar to photo camera effect 100 years ago, because before photo, there were lots of artists who drawn portraits, and after that you can just click one button and voila, you have a portrait. Or similar with Photoshop 30 years ago, because before that you need to spend a lot of time on editing photos, and after Photoshop came out, you can just click a few buttons and voila. So yeah, I think it's a cumulative effect, but still, large companies, they are focused on, let's say, on business, and they understand that they can speed up the whole process, the whole game creation process, 10x with these generative AI technologies, and they are really interested in them. So, and at least they are looking, but later I think they will try to use them as much as possible. So, yeah.
But don't you think, for using AI-based platforms or AI-generated work, you need to understand and you need to know AI first, and secondly, you need to know how to use it, and you need to, if I talk about specifically about, if I talk about, characters or icons, you need to know the dynamics of art. Don't you think so? Or because do you think that a layman can create uh characters or models or even icons through AI based platforms? Is it possible?
Yeah, I think even a newbie can create characters and icons, and I would say the general idea is pretty simple. You just write a description and voila, you have images. But you need some time and practice to make these images really good and to have a good, almost near production quality. This is the tricky moment. So it's the same as everywhere. You can, for example, you can open Photoshop and try to edit something, like edit your image, but without practice, it's gonna be hard. And
Yeah.
here's the same.
Okay. So AI has really changed the gaming world. So, since AI has really transformed the gaming world, so what do you think? How fast game development is going to transform, and in this transformation, how user experience is going to change or maybe evolved?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. And I think let's start from game developers
Yeah.
view. I think in 1 year, they will use these 2D generation technology, and it might speed up the process of generating 2D assets, like concepts of characters, backgrounds, as icons, and stuff like that. In 3 years, well, it depends on technology, because right now 3D generation technology is still at the research stage. But I think in 3 to 5 years we will see these 3D generative AI, and game developers, they will be able to generate even 3D characters and props and all this stuff for their games, and it might speed up the process again, maybe few x, maybe 10x, and in 10 years, well, it's my dream, but I think that we will see some kind of, let's say, metaverse. And the idea is that, well, suppose that you are going from home to a grocery store to buy some fruits. And there is a chance that you will be in, I don't know, some VR or mixed reality glasses, and world around you will be in style of, for example, Hogwarts Legacy, and the next day in style of Cyberpunk or something like that. And your daily routine, it's just a part of this gaming process, and you will be able to play like the whole day. You don't need to sit near your console or near your PC or turn on your phone. You just go and do your business, but you are still in game. And I think in 10 years it will be possible. Well, at least it's my dream.
So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and and of course from gamers view, it means that I think in 2 to 5 years we'll see more more different games and different experience, because game developers, they will be able to experiment more, because they will spend less time on the whole process, so they will be able to generate new styles, new types of games, and it's great. And in 10 years, as I said.
Yeah, so you're saying that the developers time will be invest more on new stuff. They'll be spending more
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, of course they will create old style games, but they will create them faster, and they will create content for these games faster. And who knows, maybe they will be more dynamic, maybe these games will be more personalized, because right now, for example, it's hard to synchronize the games world with the real world. I mean, if you are in some hot place, then maybe your location in your game should be the same, and you should see sand, dust, and palms around you. But when you are flying to some other place, decorations around you may change. And with these generative technologies, it will be much easier to adapt games to your environment, and they will be much more dynamic. So it's let's say something similar to Netflix, because Netflix can share content with you that you are interested in, and he can understand your preferences. Well, maybe with the games we will see something like that, and games will adapt and personalize their experience for your interests.
I agree with you. You mentioned that AI has speed up the process 3x or maybe 5x or 10x. So this is my curiosity and most asked question from my listeners as well, that how much cost effectiveness and efficiency does AI technology, especially generative AI, is bringing to game development startups? It would be really appreciated if you can share some use cases with us as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, it depends on task and on application, on game genre, but sometimes you can speed up the process 10x. For example, as I mentioned before, when you need to create ideas for characters and concepts of these characters, you can just, with the neural nets, you can generate 3,000 images in an hour, for example, and after that check the style of these images and bring some ideas from them. When we are talking about the whole game development process, of course, 2D part is not, I would say, the hardest one, because after 2D, after these icons, images, and all this stuff, you need to create 3D models. And these 3D models production is also pretty intensive. And of course, you need program the logic of your game, and you need to create levels and all this stuff. So in terms of the whole game development pipeline, it might be 10 to 30%, depends on genre. For games or for 2D games, it might be 2x, of course. But yeah, I would say in general, it's from 10 to 30% when we are talking about the average game with 3D, with different mechanics and all this stuff, but still.
So do you think it is cost effective for startups?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely it's cost effective because, well, let's calculate a bit. Let's say your artist has a rate about $20 per hour. And this technology, well, it's, let's say, $3 per hour. And your artist can generate 2 characters, I don't know, maybe, yeah, let's say 2 characters in a day. So during 8 hours. And this technology during 8 hours can generate about 24,000 images. And yeah, there is a huge chance that some of these images will be good enough. And yeah, sometimes game development studios really use this technology to create production ready, for example, houses. When you have some kind of farm and you have some villages in this farm in your mobile game, and houses there are pretty small. You can just generate them and put in your game, and it works well. And for such a game genre, yeah, it's 10x, and it's really cost effective, because before that it was impossible to generate, let's say, 100 levels in a week, and now you can do that. So it's definitely yeah, it's definitely cost effective.
So everything is just a click away.
But yeah, this is just the beginning. This is just the
Yeah.
beginning, and this technology will evolve.
Yeah, definitely.
And it will be more and more cost effective. And yeah.
So just one question in my mind again, that do you think that AI is, since it is making things very easier for developers, for artists, so do you think it is going to totally replace humans, or what are your thoughts about it? Is it alarming for humans and developers and artists?
Yeah, well, I think it will not replace humans, because you need human in the loop who can you need somebody who can provide some references and define the style of your game, and who can control the style consistency. So of course you can generate images, of course you can generate characters, but you need to be in the right setting. You need to stick the story of your game, the style of your game. And this is what people will do. They will set up this style. They will set up first, let's say, references, images, and after that, yeah, they will be able to generate new assets with neural nets, but still they need to keep in touch with their story, with their game, with their style, and they need to sometimes they need to, or usually they need to overpaint these images because they might contain some defects, artifacts. So yeah, I think we will see human in this industry for a long time. And of course, it's one more thing. It's about ideas. You need to create ideas of these assets, of locations, of characters, and people are pretty good at that. I would say much better than the AI.
Yeah, agree. Human mind is human mind, and you really need first how to use. You really need to know how to use AI first thing, and the second thing is that you need to be productive via AI. You need to know. You need to understand the dynamics of, if you talk about games, you need to be very much pretty clear about the scope, about the references, requirements of the game, about each character, each environment, and each move of the game. So I totally align, I totally agree with you. um we are having this conversation of AI. So, what do you think? What are some biggest challenges startups are having while implementing AI art generation in complex or a real time environment? What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, well, I would say that technology, of course, it's the main part, because right now we don't have good technologies for 3D. We only have 2D generation, and as I said, it's a little part of the whole process, and we need to build such technologies. But the problem here is that to create such a model, you need a huge data set of different type of assets, say 3D assets, 2D assets, and it's pretty hard to collect such a data set in the gaming industry, because for games, their assets, their characters, their icons, and all of them, it's the main intellectual property. It's their gold, and they don't want to share it with other games. So this is a pretty tricky moment, how you can train such a good model that can generate let's say 3D assets. And another thing is compute. To generate even images, you need a good GPU. But when we are talking about 3D, you need a lot of compute, even at the inference stage. And it will be hard to, it will be not cost effective, I would say, to generate assets in real time now, because you will need to generate them on servers in your cloud, and of course we want to generate them right on device, on my phone or on my PC or on my console. And this is a part of let's say hardware. So um, we are waiting for much faster, much larger GPU units, or maybe we need to find different architectures of our neural networks, uh, or we need to optimize them somehow for some different tasks. But still, the data, like lack of data, uh, the technology and hardware, these are three uh, barriers of let's say real-time environment generation in video games.
Yeah, agree, totally agree. So, last but not the least question. where do you see Artifactory.ai in the next maybe 5 years or 10 years?
Yeah, I see it. There are classical engines like Unity and Unreal Engine, and you put there your assets, your 3D models, and they animate them. They work with lightning, and they work with physics. But before you put your assets to these engines, to your game, let's say, you need to create them, and you use a lot of tools like Adobe Photoshop, Blender, Maya, and ZBrush, and all these tools. And people, you need to train employees, you need to train people, artists need to learn these tools to create these assets. And my idea is that in 5 years, we will be able to create, let's say, AI art engine or pre-engine that will be able to generate assets, let's say 3D models, and put them later in the classical engines. But to generate them, you won't need to spend, let's say, 100 hours on the whole process, and you will not need to hire hundreds artists and different artists. You will be able to work with text, video, and all other prompts as references. So you input images, your style, and some other references, and as output you have these 3D models that you can use later in the engine. And I think we'll build such a art engine, and of course we will have people, let's say operators of this engine, because somebody needs to write these textual descriptions and control style consistency and do stuff like that. And when this engine will be ready, I think we will see some curiosity from hardware side, and later we will be able to do that not at the pre-release stage, not at the game development stage, I mean generating assets, but we will be able to do that in real time on your device. And then we will see this great future when we are always in a game, and let's say some kind of matrix. Sorry for this analogy, but yeah.
You're really making things easy for humans and interesting as well. So, wish you a very best of luck for your future ventures, Dave. And thank you so much for giving us your precious time and for bearing with us, for bearing with my questions. And it was a really amazing having a session with you, get to know a lot about AI and your platform. It's really amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Zofis. Thank you for the invitation. Your questions were great, and thank you so much.